Welcome everyone to this week's IT News and Bits live stream. Let's see how this is going with our maybe or maybe not working internet. Our recurring issue this week, but maybe we complained enough at Vodafone for this internet cable thing to actually work again. As usual, while we wait for people to tune in, let's actually see what we have done this week here. Our introduction of things that happened or may not have happened. Welcome to Xutku. Also curious how well ungoogled Chromium will do here. As you know, recurring viewers, we try to switch away from the unfortunately slightly too slow, not to mention Rust and Rust Cargo and Node.js fun that is Firefox. So far 0 drop frames without data center. Amazing stuff. So what have we done this week? Lots of videos, that is for sure. Let's see, PayPal. There was even our last news in 2019. Here. So since the last week's IT Bits news, we got ourselves here some Ryzen Core X. Already discovered some issues also on the Apple side. Just live today on YouTube. Of course, some frames there. And found some surprises. You can watch 3 of those videos or something. Then our highly upgraded Vodafone DOCSIS cable was not working very well this week. Recurring internet fail issues, and also Apple's a recurring thing. We can't even, nothing at Apple works. We can't even get App Store updates in the App Store. The situation is so bizarre that I even recorded a phone call, because after the first 15 minutes when it eventually broke, it was clear that their support is not the most amazing. And this is really sad to watch in case you are interested in a really sad support live stream. That is for you. And then something not acceptable. What was that? Still our broken internet. Microsoft ships the Linux kernel soon for Windows subsystem for Linux stuff there. And then what did we had? Some closed computer call that I wanted to make for quite some weeks, if not months already. Then there was announcement Lenovo's AMD Ryzen ThinkPads are coming. That is certainly amazing. By the way, I hope, maybe I forgot to switch to our scene here. Also, I hope you appreciate the 10 minutes I took for the artwork here. Not only for that, also a new channel banner. Can't ever always do enough graphic artwork there, and clickbait and title thumbnails. Apparently then at least 2 times as many people watch it. And just this morning we updated the Linux kernel to 5.1 because we always wait for the first point release for the latest and greatest regressions and peak bugs addressed and fixed. And then we continued playing with the Ryzen Core thing here, discovered that Apple is even disabling the iGPU on non-portable mobile Macs, and now we are on the week's final. This week's IT Bits and News tonight. We have a couple of drop frames, but nothing too serious. Also, maybe I should move here my throughput metering stuff here more in somewhere where I actually see it. Anyway, with that, it is time to start. I would say, actually, this is not the first slideshow. The first slideshow should be somewhere like this. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about, because this week was somehow rather busy, not only on my side here, work and everything, but also in the IT news. So Intel announces Project Athena or something, Open Labs. Something that is, what was it even? That was so many days ago. Something at CES. Let's see, new project in Taipei, Shanghai, something. And what is it even for? Ultrabooks, actually, somewhere. Thank you very much. Exactly what I want to see. Qualcomm, was it Ultra Portables or something? Let's see, the program is reminiscent of Intel's Ultrabook initiative that pushes the transition of thin and light designs, but Athena or something focuses on increasing performance. Increasing performance because thin and light performance. This is frame drop galore. Why are we having such frame drops? Overheating or something. And I found this noteworthy because, of course, we are ourselves finding ourselves here in quite some performance degradation situation here. And each work on performance is welcome. Also, I wanted to say we have here the ThinkPad Carbon X1 here. Also in the other corner of the, why is this outgoing? This is ridiculous. So much to, yes, it's dropping here too. So I made buffer something. Do I have any root terminal left? No, that is of course amazing. What are we? Why is this? But this is encoding output. Maybe overheating, maybe too much CPU load. Damn it, can't really even stream here with anything for whatever reason. This is happening now. Anyway, while I try to figure out, but now the fence is getting down, whatever that was. Anyway, right now it is. Anyway, so yeah, each performance is welcome. Don't even remember, I think I posted this here from some other website. To where I got this. What was the big selling point of this? Actually, even forgot here what this was. Co-developed. Intel plans to continue dropping frames. Yeah. Partners over time. Something. Low power component. Open labs. So something. What was even so? It's of course funny. I should probably have. What was this even? Let's see. Do I have this here in my notes? Intel announces. No, I don't have it in my notes. Whatever then. Super preparation. Anyway, no idea why this was outstanding. Maybe this was for competing with thin and lights in the Google Chromebook department. Let me shortly bring up a root terminal. 1 second. And see what is going on in the dmask, because I have completely no idea why this is So this was at least CPU thermal throttling, so much to that data point. Why is everything acting up here every other day? Maybe I should not stream here with. It's of course funny that usually, so the last thing I've done is upgrading to Linux 5.1. Somehow each hardware video encoder is acting up here. It's of course slightly ridiculous. So continuing here with just 8 Mbit. Let's see how this is going. Maybe just overheating and so on. Yeah, whatever the real news for this was, but something's happening there. And again, any development in not successful Intel process silicon stuff is of course welcome. And next, more major breaking news. Cray and AMD partner to build a 1.5 exaflops supercomputer for the US government. Of course, the usual stuff. And this is of course AMD here back in the game with the AMD Zen silicon, not only for the enthusiast market here for ourselves, but also for the really big business. And exactly what we need, in my opinion. Not a secret that we are huge AMD fans here. For long-standing, also for AMD 64, right, running here what Intel copied also on that part. And yeah, we certainly need more innovation and development here, not the performance degradation that is the Intel silicon here. So of course using AMD's EPIC processor, likely Zen 3, Zen 4 actually, likely. Questions is slightly, is it so much in the future? Let's see, do they have here some date? Because obviously we just get Zen 2, so not sure why they would write here Zen 3 or 4 unless it's so much in the future. Do they have even a date here? Anyway, yeah, 500. Okay, here's actually delivered in 2021. Okay, then they have still 2 years to do that, but not really frontierable custom version EPIC, so I'm not really sure if they will have Zen 4 in 2 years. I would rather say than Zen 2, Zen 3, but whatever. And of course the power consumption is crazy for this kind of installations in the ballpark of 30 to 40 megawatt is of course, yeah, 7,300 square feet of floor space. And we have comments in the audience. What is Tuxutku writing us with OBS is using 4.2 level discrete graphics, key interval. This might give you better performance. I guess, did I not use 4.2 level? I thought this is what I'm using. I'm using 4.2 here as per this. I think this probably should be, by the way, yeah, this is the working one. Anyway, what options do we have here? Even no other here, and yes, there that, but whatever. Might give you better performance, I guess. So yeah, I'm not sure. By the way, this could be, I always wanted to test, but right now it's anyway okay. We only dropped 2.7. I mean, maybe they really fixed something with the internet. Anyway, this week's news will be super long, so let's show me along. Maybe please immediately notify me as soon as it's getting worse again, because can't always monitor the frame counter. Anyway, welcoming AMD here is a super amazing thing, and also totally looking forward to Zen 2 here for, again, not to confuse with Zen 1 Plus, what we currently run here with the Ryzen 2000, slightly confusing numbering scheme, but nothing that Intel would otherwise have confusing in the numbering scheme department. So then for better computing, someone wrote here, maybe through Slashdot or whatever, usually I come to such kind of news and IEE or IEEE spectrum here from other news sites. And I wanted to point this out because we are huge fans here of innovation, innovating also with potentially microkernel stuff and such. And this is why, naturally always find such kind of news rather interesting. By the way, when I scroll the graphics, maybe Chromium is using here more GPU stuff than Firefox. This is why maybe with Firefox it usually works better. Anyway, so here is some research and opinion that they think maybe for better computing, Liberate CPUs from garbage collecting. So historically, I'm not a very huge fan of garbage collecting, completely not a fan of Java. We were always laughing and joking about the performance that Java does not have. However, so I never really used garbage collecting much because I found it too slow and cumbersome. I was otherwise like reference counting in C++, where, for example, because historically with C++ and STL and things like this, when you reference count and stuff instead of garbage collect, then if you freeze something and the last one who freezes, which can be quite automatic in C++ even, then it is immediately freed on the Java side, for example, but also, for example, Lua or other languages, JavaScript certainly, then you do not know immediately. So if you don't use this buffer anymore, it may take a second or minute until the garbage collector finally runs as much through the world of pointers to realize some memory is not used anymore. And I think there were implementations for this. The people in the audience, I maybe should have researched this, but not only do you see this news here already, okay, you don't see the tabs, totally many use. I could have researched this because I think there was a processor with garbage collecting support in the 90s. Maybe I could actually try to internet research this CPU processor, maybe from AT&T, Hobbit or something, garbage, or was there a Java CPU? I remember there was something alternative to garbage OS news, something garbage collecting, don't know enough or something. Anyway, if you remember what this was, AT&T, Hobbit or something of that sort, or something like this, not really sure. So as far as I remember, there were things like this. So, but of course, this is logical. For example, I recurrently also call here out the lagging of performance in browser and the interwebs. Everything becomes slower. Here you see this Core i7. It's of course also a joke that Intel calls everything Core i7. But everything you see here, lagging, dropping, not snappy. And also, of course, because the browsers are so complex, the websites are so complex, and then all the web technology is already not the most snappy, super huge with HTML and HTML page description and everything not very optimized. And then on top, garbage collecting is, of course, everything that is hurting performance somewhere. And yeah, in a way, it is quite a logical conclusion, when we have languages like this, JavaScript and such, and they are used more and more, then of course, similar to a memory management unit, why not put some kind of garbage collection in some kind of memory management unit or something of that sort? And yeah, the problem is of course always, there were also CPUs with Java support, even for example something esoteric as the AVR32, but maybe even some ARM CPUs or something. And I think this was never used much, maybe in the AVR32, certainly on the Linux side, maybe next to 0% usage or something. That is of course the drawback with specific instruction sets and support for garbage collection, that if you run stuff without this, it's many logic gates and transistors for nothing. But anyway, leave me in the comments always. As usual, I would hope that this experiment of weekly news, no idea where this brings us. Sometimes the chat is very active, that is what I really like, and also in general would love to make this, eventually develop this in a more interactive format. But as usual, leave me in the comments below or chat what you think about this. Is this completely waste of transistors or silicon? We, of course, I mentioned this already a couple of times, we go a little bit into this direction. Historically, I completely hated this, but in the meantime, we use Lua ourselves for our UI. Even here, I called this out a couple of times already. Not only this, a demo application of our UI stuff, but also our Exact Scan and OCR kit, the portable versions for Windows and Linux run completely in Lua with the UI stuff, everything garbage collected. So far it works, but I fear a little bit if we would write a browser with this, maybe this would be a little bit too much garbage collecting for huge application like a browser. This probably also explains why browsers are not the most snappy nowadays and such, but yeah, interesting to hear what you think. Then a lot of security issues this week, as every week in the connected cloud world, and cloud and smart and intelligent and connected and whatnot. Here from our friends next door from the Chaos Computer Club, of all of them, and there is a news that I think was this Bosch, or you see a multiple of CVEs, their vulnerabilities, and this is, not that we call out here some ABUS. This is ABUS, the lock manufacturer of smart locks. And there you see just exactly, I'm completely not the greatest fan of this, and there you see what happens if you have this kind of smart and cloud and whatnot, and then it is of course full with security vulnerabilities, even Bosch. And then the big surprise, they can't even provide an update because they can't even reach the vendor they purchased it from. So this were some white label good thing from somewhere, maybe it's even written there. And then a year later, even Bosch or ABUS, actually, sorry, this is not Bosch, but I mean, not that Bosch probably would not be so much better. Anyway, so ABUS, and they can't even reach their own supplier anymore. And this is, they also write here, this is not a single case, there are multiple of such cases. And so because they can't, by the way, affected devices, this many affected devices, so not like one, but like the whole product line apparently, cameras, actually I said locks, this is mostly cameras now that I read this. And yeah, I personally, I would not spend a single cent for the smart connected bullshit kind of stuff, especially if I have not built this. I've wondered always, maybe a successful business would be to try to do this embedded stuff again that Google mostly stole from us, and then we gave up on the rest anyway, because usual people undermined our offers by a huge margin. Anyway, maybe one of my huge idealists is of course really maintained, like with T2 open source and everything, nicely, the targets nicely sorted, scripted and everything, and the patches and Linux kernel sources maintained in a way that you can actually maintain this, because this is exactly like on Android phones. Oops, that was slamming the Android phone into the glass bottle. Android phones, you want an update 1 year or 2 years later and nobody can find the actual previous developer, because this is exactly the same thing with 3D drivers of all those Android vendors. They just put some binary only something, and then in a years or 2 years time they can't even find who developed this anymore. And then we also have more security, maybe not the best sorted this week, but whatever, I hope you enjoyed anyway. Why Go? So I'm not the greatest fan of Rust, mostly actually. So Rust is mostly okay, and but what I have the biggest grief with Rust, the more secure or so language, is actually the ecosystem with cargo and 150 micro dependencies, micro packages that you need to actually even compile not only Rust in cargo but also Firefox. This is why we now switched here to ungoogled Chromium for a test of it. And why Go? So actually I've mostly ignored Go. I did not even take a look much at Go. And I know that it is included in GCC, so the GNU compiler collection, you just get Go there already for free with it. And here is, if you want to take a look, minimalism. It's of course a nice key point here for me. When I read minimalism, then you have won me already, halfway over already. And Go language specification is only 50 pages. That sounds good actually. Simple, orthogonal, blah blah blah, built in. One thing is of course possible to debug and profile running in production through an HTTP server. Like seriously, is this a good feature? Not really the greatest fan of backdoor debugger seeing HTTP server, but whatever. And yeah, lots of stuff, strongly statically typed, implicit conversions, blah blah blah, concurrency, and so on. Maybe you want to give it a try. Maybe I've underestimated Go. This is of course from some developer, maybe of Go. I've not checked precisely. I only wanted to share this because I personally have not taken Go too much of attention. They have here comparisons with Java and Python or something. Both languages that I'm both not the greatest fan of. Of course, performance, as this is probably mostly natively compiled, certainly should be far from flashy, but there is fine-tuned engine underneath what. As Python is mostly interpreted and Java just-in-time compiled with usually not the greatest hotspot just-in-time compiler stuff, certainly Go should usually be faster. And what do they have here? Size and speed of generated code vary depending on target architecture. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Fairly major OSs, blah blah blah. Yeah, well, I think it's mostly is there in implementation only with GCC, as it's using the GCC backends. It should probably be high performance. Also, Go is garbage collected, so much to garbage collecting in hardware. There you could recycle it immediately, maybe in Go. But yeah, maybe you want to take a look. Maybe this is at least for the ecosystem thing there with 150 micro dependencies, maybe nicer. Maybe I should take it a look. If you have comments, always not only here live, by the way, maybe I should check if this stuff is updating. Can someone drop a comment, because actually the watching counter is updating, so hopefully. Anyway, leave me in the comments what you think, either here live or later in the archive. Then we had this recently. I ignored KDE and GNOME updates for the last decade or two. By the way, do we not have zooming here in Chromium or something happening, or not so fast? Is this busy or not, or something? Anyway, guess we are overloading Chrome. I ignored this KDE and GNOME updates for the most part because the last decade I mostly used T2 for server embedded stuff and such virtual machines, you name it. And this is super slow. Why is this here not much happening? Click here, nothing. Anyway, then I don't zoom. Can't make this up. And so we had this super long live stream, and then super long, like 7 hours. Hey, now something zooming. Yeah, so I mean, you see the reoccurring joke of Intel Silicon, not much has happened, and not much has happened on the Intel side, and also everyone like Apple and their friends and all the copycats who don't know better and copy this. Yeah, not the most high performance here, and then you see you zoom into a website and nothing happens for 20 seconds, and the fans go in hyperventilation mode here, especially while page unresponsive. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. For the ad blocking stuff, I actually put quite a handful of websites here into my local. Hey, now we are zooming here like crazy. Here you have the zoom godness. Also wonder, there you see the performance. This is by the way, I have not compiled this, full disclosure, because I mentioned this in another live stream. I'm also irritated with all the software architecture, that everything needs to be so super complicated, that not even Firefox requires Rust, Cargo, Node.js and whatnot. But also this Chromium even needs an own something build helper, checkout thing, whatsoever, depot or so, and then it may load binaries for DRM and whatnot. And this is why, yeah, you see the result. This is, so why do I say this? This is the official Google ungoogled Chromium stuff, so not some crappy shit that I built myself, and yet it's not the most responsive, but still waiting for AMD to drop some Ryzen's on us for the greatest performance. Plenty of comments in the audience. Come back to this in a second. And so why do I show this? There was one thing I wanted to point out particularly, but otherwise this actually looks here quite neat for something. So I've not yet finished packaging KDE. So I think, how was this? The 7-hour live stream was it GNOME or KDE? Anyway, the other live stream was only 2 or 3 hours. The outcome is I've not yet updated all of this. Even 7-hour live stream plus 3-hour live stream or so was not enough time that we would have updated all of this. However, I have to say this looks quite neat. The problem is only if this requires all the packages installing here, like 1 gigabyte of software. This is of course a little bit crazy. And yes, this is streaming from the Apple Mac Mini, which previously worked quite well. However, I guess the thermal design power thing of the GPU encode takes you quite some CPU cycles away. So anyway, the problem is I have here this Ryzen stuff and such, but I still need to figure out YouTube. I just checked today. YouTube is scaling with this stupid alignment thing here with outputting AMD Radeon outputting here 1080/80. YouTube is actually rescaling this to 19.6 or something by 1080 or some complete bullshit. So yeah, we are getting there, but anyway. And so why I wanted to point this out. So for one thing, this actually looks quite neat, I have to say, but then compiling Qt is, by the way, this works much better on Linux with the Mac Mini than on macOS actually. And on macOS, OBS is a complete piece of shit on macOS, and not even the audio capture works. So you need to even install. So you can't sit by just installing macOS. You can't even capture desktop audio. This just works with, as crappy as Pulse Audio is, at least that works. And also for me on macOS, Apple hardware video encode doesn't work with OBS. So basically all the live streaming is like 10 times better on Linux. Just anyway, still something. So I wanted to say this looks amazing, but then compiling Qt, I complained. Even Qt, the download is in the meantime huge. How it was hundreds of megabytes like a Linux kernel. Why do I say this? In my opinion, software development stack gets completely out of hands for maintaining bugs and everything, security. However, this looks quite neat. Also here probably Pulse Audio something. You see quite nice controls. Here was something in particular that I wanted to point out. What would this be? There was something specifically, keyboard shortcuts, where could this have been? VI mode, logout, Windows decoration, drag and drop, something, switch between normal input VI, something, anyway. There was something really stupid or something. Right, here, this is so funny. This is in 2019 when amazing features that KWin window manager now correctly displays emoji and window title bars. Like, yes, okay, fine. For this we need apparently 100 megabytes of software, but otherwise, yeah, this is really stupid in my opinion. Like features set seriously, but yeah. On the other hand, if Unicode works, then Unicode works, but the rest also looks quite nice. But I have real problems that everything gets so huge that it's getting a pain to package. At least back in the day, KDE, like a decade ago, KDE were 15 packages, now it's also 70 packages or something, getting slightly out of hand. We have some comments in the audience, which we always like here very much, huge fans of comments. Let's quickly take a look what we have here. Dave says run uBlock extension. So yeah, I put some Google page, something, whatever, into my local host file here to just get rid of this. And Alpine, yeah, actually Alpine Linux, yes, this was some password stuff with Docker something, right? Maybe I have not mentioned this, but thanks for calling this out. Then Dave, the company he's working for is using Go. The problem with Go is finding programmers. I don't particularly like the language. I don't like implicit interfaces. Yeah, so I've not taken, but thanks for the comment. On the first glance, it didn't look too bad. And actually, I have to say I don't really like Rust too much. I find the Rust syntax rather cryptic. But if anyone has Rust experience, please leave me know in the comments. But again, Rust could be so amazing if just they wouldn't have this 150 micropackage dependency shit. Why can it not be that if Firefox needs this for the rendering engine, that they only require the Rust compiler and not the 150 package bullshit around this, is beyond my understanding. GNOME 3 requires systemd, yes, I know this. At least some stuff I would at least go. I also know that Gentoo has some replacement of FreeBSD or something, but I should at least package all the rest of this and then take a look on the maybe only the login manager or something, I would hope. And Go is cross-platform, but many of the libraries aren't. And yes, so solution system is Gentoo's solution to systemd crap. Yeah, I think I heard about this. Thanks for the comments, especially as they are archived here for others. So yeah, in general, also let me know. I think, in my opinion, this looks pretty neat here. And why we speak about pretty neat, of course, our own UI is not the most beautiful. I can, as we are here some professional, let's start here our exact scan thing in, just not disclosing here. Of course, now it's on the stream, but whatever. You see just, so why do I show you this? Of course, this is not yet the, some confidential buttons here inside. Should have probably. Anyway, you see we do some more stuff than just doing fancy live streams here. Of course, I know that our UI here is not yet the most outstanding. We basically mimicked here a little bit macOS and in a little bit kind of cheapest way here. Also, these are vector stuff. So if I would resize this here to 200 dpi scaling with DPI 192 or something, this is a vector checkmark. And everything, by the way, everything here is vector stuff. Why do I show you this? So first of all, yes, it's not the most amazing UI because we did not yet have money to chat to some UI designer stuff, but maybe with all the growth here, maybe eventually we can afford one. Maybe sharing with YouTube artwork stuff or video editing or some fun stuff. However, I wanted to say one thing rather quickly, which is, so this UI, we need to work a little bit on our UI language stuff. And I saw what I will probably maybe inspire next from is the AMD Ryzen master software for Windows, which in my opinion looks quite neat. Not really sure, maybe our own UI stuff should have some option for dark mode versus non-dark mode. But in my opinion, this UI stuff, if we make something like Photoshop or similar, where was what I was looking for, so many screenshots and then not exactly, maybe plus minus. Anyway, I probably, you get the idea, not exactly what was 100%ly looking for, maybe plus minus a little bit. Anyway, you get the idea. Leave me in the comments below how you like this UI language. Can we also open this here? Which image? Anyway, just wanted to call this out, that this looks pretty nice, especially maybe today's Intel, yes, I accept, go away here. Today's Intel software also looks, of course, maybe nicer, but until some years ago, the Intel Windows software looked really hilarious. I always wondered, apparently Intel also couldn't afford a UI designer, as probably now it looks better. But anyway, in my opinion, this looks pretty neat. just here a little bit shout out here for cool UI design language. Maybe I inspire from this a little bit. Next use, secure repairs, top security. Yeah, this is, I nearly made here a dedicated video. Yeah, I pressed 2 times zoom in. Let's see. No, this probably took 5 seconds, another 5. Yeah, not the most amazing performance. I nearly made a dedicated video of this news, as we are huge fans here of the right to repair. And maybe let me know if you like some, like I made this PayPal, which is really hilarious. Still not really sure if this PayPal change. Also this news, you can check this video if you're interested in this PayPal stupidity. Do you prefer some video about some topic like this in the middle of the week, like I sometimes started to do? And because this here is really important that top security experts stand up for digital right to repair, because some lobbyist, like probably paid from Apple and Google or who knows who, spread here some fear, uncertainty and doubt, some food regarding security, that we can't repair our devices ourselves in the name of security because everyone cracks your passwords and steals all your data. Of course not, especially if it is full disk encrypted here, like our portable SSD thing here, or other things where I would always use full disk encryption. And if someone wants to steal your data, like you are some in some South American company and you fear that the CIA or something spies on all your documents, then it is not a right to repair thing, then it is a full disk encryption thing. And yes, this is really stupid, and really glad that here's some people, among them Bruce Schneier of IBM and Harvard University, also a globally recognized expert in cybersecurity, Gary McGraw or something, computer scientist, 12 books about software security and so on. And as usual, this is not either stuff is secure. Apple cannot say on one hand they have a super secure security enclave or something and then tell the people you can't repair this because security, which by the way I find really hilarious, that I can't switch the home button here because then the security bullshit says it is tampered with. This is slightly ridiculous. It's really complete repair bullshit. Really avoiding that people repair this in third-party stores, because you really need to be a top CIA target to fear your fingerprint scanner there. You really can't tell me that Apple's main customers worry about this. Has anyone seen Accused Farms videos about games as a service? Similar argument to right or repair. It's posted on Reddit a couple of weeks ago. Which do you mean posted on Reddit? Games. Has anyone seen Accused Farms video about games as a service? Not really. Is this doesn't really ring a direct bell? Does this copy? Which one would that be? Can quickly DuckDuckGo that. Although probably DuckDuckGo will not find it anyway. Maybe post link to this to better find it more directly. Then more security. Samsung spilled SmartThings app source code and secret keys. This is of course a recurring theme here of companies that try to do security and then publish all their, well, I mean, for one thing, it's of course funny that the companies argue it needs to be closed source. Oh, did I zoom in here in the wrong browser focus thing here? It's of course funny. First, companies say it can't be closed source because security, and then they leak their source code anyway. Slightly funny, if not said. But let's show a YouTube. Will it play or probably not? Probably this will not make our. Oh, wait a second, what is this here? Games as a service is a fraud. The most controversial video in games as a service and why it's fraud you're likely to see. No, I've not seen this. Can't really watch it right now. But I also said in this, not this, but another week's live IT news stream, when Google announced their video streaming, game streaming thing there, that I don't believe this is a future. And you, by the way, see here in our internet, even we have here business internet, and even our medium, not that expensive internet, you've seen I can't even live stream, and you wanna play games with this latency, with that drop frames. I would take each vintage retro game on a 3 or 486 over Google streaming experience. And then, by the way, you see we can barely stream here 2000 drop frames, although maybe Vodafone fixed something, only 3.5%. But you really want to stream games over this, and then imagine for what reason? For 20 years we could play games and the games do not become more amazing. If one thing, you only get more latency, not less. I mean, there is no way this will ever be the same latency. This will always, cloud gaming will always be a higher latency of going from your computer, if it be a limited pad or tablet or real PC or Mac or something, it always adds the internet cloud latency. So it will always be less quality, and you don't own the game, and you can't play in the car when you are a child. You drive with your parents somewhere to holiday, or grandparents, or you sit on a beach, or you fly in a plane, unless of course we roll 5G internet out so that it works in all cars and planes. But I don't see this coming, and even if we have 5G internet, then it will be overloaded with streams. And by the way, I often have the issue, I need to do important work like log in into some data center, sometimes even with graphic stuff, maybe to some customer for some reason, and then it barely works because the internet is full of people watching YouTube streams like ours and playing games online. This is ridiculous in my opinion, only for maximizing the profits of Silicon Valley cloud companies. This is, in my opinion, really stupid. It is also, in my opinion, stupid that more people don't call this out and just accept this. Why would you ever accept, well, how much do you really save with a cloud game? You only save a few euros if you really play a game like Fortnite or whatnot. No paid advertising here, just calling out or Minecraft or whatnot stuff, or Doom or Quake or anything Formula 1 Grand Prix. Then if the company is not giving it for you to free. Either they show you advertisement or you pay for this, and then I rather own it, because you see all the lazy game reviews there and stuff of vintage retro gaming. If we move into a cloud gaming stuff, we lose all the owning the stuff and playing it in 10 or 20 years with your child, or for memory and as a hobby or whatever. Completely stupid in my opinion. This is also why I decided to share and join here this YouTube theme of sharing opinion. And yeah, so Samsung of those who just puts all their data as usual, leaks everything through GitLab, GitHub, AWS, and you name it. And this is of course there are tokens here, private GitLab tokens and everything. Not the first time this happens, of course, but there you see with all the cloud stuff, this will continue to happen. This will happen only more, and even by accident, maybe even someday from us or who knows what. I'm not saying that we are perfect, but this is of course also why we should question, is it the right thing to put everything into the cloud? Maybe not. Only a disaster waiting to happen, and also a recurring reminder, you really need to design this stuff secure, because if you rely on obscurity, then eventually not only people reverse engineer it or break it, eventually latest if your source code leaks out, then it's not secure anymore if it only relied on hiding some details. And also, pro tip, don't put your passwords and security credentials tokens into the cloud, obviously. What else do we have? We have Boeing believed 737 MAX warning light was standard. It wasn't. This is of course really ridiculous. I'm really sorry that I have to call this out here. Really sad development. Why is this in our news segment? This is in our news segment because there you see big companies don't even know what they are doing. The left hand, not what the right hand is doing. Really sad. And then why you should support small companies. Of course, maybe not a huge thing with airplane manufacturing, but I really fail to understand. But maybe next week I meet someone from Boeing. Maybe I should not call this out, but maybe I hear some insider details again that I can't share then here on YouTube. But for me, this is really stupid. how can this be that they think or they want to hide something, but I mean, if they want to hide that they don't even know what features they deliver their own planes with, this is even more ridiculously and hilarious, because how can a plane manufacturer not know that their plane did not come with a feature, a standard that they thought is standard? This is really ridiculous. So actually, maybe I think I read this and it sounded like the warning light is in there, just it's not functional if you don't order another option, which is like seriously in a plane. And I probably called this out in another IT news stream, and because I think I read that this was self-certified, that the FDA, the Federal Aviation Authority or something, outsourced the certification, and Boeing won the certification contract. So Boeing probably basically certified this themselves. Again, just like with the Dreamliner, it's of course really tragic that this might be one of the contributing factors to the loss of lives there. And this is of course also, if you work in this business, then this is of course your responsibility to get things right. And yeah, some of the news that came out in the Boeing surrounding Boeing work methods, they're not the most impressive, but yeah, this is really sad. But again, this is also similar things I hear from Microsoft, not that they would be in the plane manufacturing business, but from people who I knew at Microsoft, I often heard rather not the most thrilling things, and chaos and wasted time of everything takes forever, debug builds, data center deployments, and error prone and super time wasting to work with, and I mean just what you would expect in a Windows environment. And yeah, we will probably have a recurring theme here. Let's continue crushing through here. What means SaaS? Probably need to. Anyway, iPhone 7 loop disease. Oops, mouse wheel on the wrong window background. An iPhone bug I did not even know about, because as you know, I don't buy iPhones anymore. And yeah, loop disease, I didn't even knew about this one, and this is really hilarious. I knew of course about touch disease and error 53 or whatever that was, and all the other bend gate, antenna gate, you're holding it wrong, and so on and so on, peak bugs and so on. But this is hilarious. A new class action complaint seeks damages and a hardware recall from Apple over the so-called iPhone 7 loop disease. Again, I didn't even knew this was a thing. And so what is happening is that the audio integrated circuit is falling off of the PCB. You can't even make this shit up. Of course, with bend gate, it also bended the touch controller apparently from the underfill or something, only holding the chip, but otherwise leaving there some contacts disconnected or BGA balls broken and lifted and such. And this is apparently similar. 3 plaintiffs are named in this suit, each of whom saw their iPhone 7 succumb to a claimed defect referred to as audio IC defect. The symptom of the apparent hardware issue are identical to those described by users who suffered previous loan dubbed loop disease by some repair industry insiders. According to the filing, plaintiffs experienced grayed out speaker button while in calls, loss of voice command capabilities for Siri and blah blah blah. Was it not technicians can fix as noted, blah blah blah. Technicians can fix loop disease by removing the audio chip and soldering a small length of wire between it and the logic board. The suit acknowledges remedy. Was it not? I think I read that fall off, lose something. Anyway, I saw it somewhere. This audio IC came loose. Anyway, the main problem, there is more .NET stuff. I will take a look in a second in the comments audience. So yeah, even I know so many. You see, I call here every second thing. I mean, beside overheating and stuff, right? And our own. So I can't even make this up. You know, I was holding all of our hardware issues here in the camera. Every second Mac had some issue, and then on top of this, even stuff I didn't even know about. Beside, I want a headphone jack, and yeah, you can't make this up really sad. Speaking about SAT and Macs, or Apple Mac Pro Keyboard Failures, amazing scissor keys that we recurrently make fun about dust stuck keys, and apparently maybe they are not dust stuck. Here is some huge Reddit review of someone apparently saying here, self-advertising to work in the repair or have been working in the repair industry, and he took a closer look there and total details with many photos. Also, by the way, really said it would make this also internet experience in 2019 would be so more amazing if this images would be inline, but apparently inline images is not a thing of 2019 anymore, because really annoying to click on each of those, but whatever. And as you see, a really detailed review, and he comes to the conclusion that maybe the problem is worse than the dust stuck theory that I usually called out here. And he says, with his analysis here with some 10 times macro lens and whatnot, that he comes to the conclusion that maybe this is not dust, but maybe regular wear. The stuff is just breaking, apparently, maybe allegedly, due to, according to his opinion. And this is, of course, makes it, in my opinion, this makes it even worse. If it would be dust stuck, okay, dust comes in, then, but I have to say, actually, even in this keyboard is already some dust, but then I actually take a mechanical keyboard over, or a working keyboard. Anyway, so in my opinion, it makes it even worse if it's not even dust that is the primary cause of this, but it's just breaking from wear of stuff degrading, moving parts, disaligning and stuff. This, in my opinion, makes it only worse. And this is, of course, the work, and this we need this more, not like Apple is telling you are hurting yourself and you can't open it and stuff. And there you see the people believe everything. If you don't, we need people who really like, I found here that the Mac Mini EFI BIOS, if you're interested in this, EFI BIOS is like on a MacBook, hiding the iGPU if it detects a dedicated GPU. Really said we need more in-depth analysis and like not this obscurity and secrets hidden here from the user. We need to understand how stuff works. Also, this keyboard is with 80 or like really many fine screws or something, screws or glued or screw-like stuff, really stupidly fixed to the top case. It's so ridiculous. I can't even have the right English swear words for this piece of thing, of a garbage kind of thing that Apple made there. And we have more Apple news. Comments in the audience: the main problem is not .NET deployments to Azure. Those are pretty simple. The builds that require Node, Microsoft updates the Node version, which breaks the builds. Is Dave, AngularJS devs are really bad for this. They use semiver, which is supposed to be compatible but never is. On the AngularJS devs use a version of TypeScript that's incompatible, and you have to, and updating Node breaks Apple cause. Global warming is caused by people holding their phone wrong. And yeah, I'm not sure, Dave, if you comment this to my comment about people at Microsoft. I think their stuff was also, this was their Visual Studio remote connection to data center Azure things, maybe with .NET or something. Not really sure. It's probably not JS related. So Brussels, by the way, this article, if you, the web in 2019, I had to do some tricks to come back to this article, a really negative call out to Financial Times, because if you just open this and you don't have a pay description here, then you don't get this article. You need to open this via a search engine like Google or something, and then they show to you this really shitty, otherwise they harass you into some online subscription. Anyway, so they write here, Brussels poised to probe Apple over Spotify's fees complaint, and I would like to nearly join this, but I just don't have time and money for a lawsuit. But I really hate this. Also the PayPal, actually we had this PayPal news that they take so much revenue, some 30 cents plus 35 cents plus some percentage depending on how you get it. And then now what I made the dedicated video, and Louis Rossmann is also calling out, and maybe also others like maybe shortly mentioned in Linus Tech Tips, that they now want to change, at least actually apparently PayPal, according to this other video, they changed it so that you don't get the refund back if you, for example, someone orders our exact scan and they were not so switched on to test it before buying it, which we always tell the customer, test it for 14 days and only buy it if you're super satisfied. We don't want to hear later you waste your time and our time about that it's not great enough and that you don't want your money back and stuff. Really hates this. And even for our 14-day trial download, sometimes happens that the users are not switched on enough to try it out. I mean, I would always try software before I buy it, but apparently not some users. And Louis Rossmann, of course, makes this case for his ultrasonic cleaning machine. Someone orders it and then the co-worker already ordered it, or they order 3 and then only 2 or 1 or something. There are so many valid reasons always to have the money back. Beside for normal customers in the EU, there's even the law that for online stuff you need for end users, offer them 14 days or something of free returns for not having been able to take it in your hand and look on it and investigate it in the store and stuff. And it's already a waste of time and money and shipment costs. You lose already the shipping, and then PayPal now wants to pocket the whole transaction fee into their pocket. This is really unethical. Damn it, it's too late probably. And the same applies here to the 30% in the App Store. I find it completely unethical. Damn it, can it be so? Probably next time scripting and pronouncing everything before the live stream. Probably time for more hydration. In my opinion, no developer asked for this. I rather have my own online store. You have seen in this week's videos and recurring theme from 2 other videos that we often even have problems sending Apple updates. Right now they disappear on the server, and in any case we can't even support old versions. So if we have a customer with an old macOS version, we can't even build versions because they have requirements for SDKs and use with Xcode that you can't even theoretically, unless you cheat a little bit. Not even sure if you cheat if Apple would accept this, because they have this automatic filtering and they automatically reject, which is not built with the right Xcode version and SDK. Really bullshit. So even if you wanted to support customers with old versions like old iPhones, for old iPhones you can't for sure not. I'm pretty sure you can't trick builds even with latest Xcode. Even if you modify them manually to build for old iOS versions, for old iPhones you can't. Which is, I find, really a scandal, that if you wanted to support customers, loyal customers, who might not have the money for new iPhones, you simply can't. It's ridiculous. And nobody asked Apple to pocket 30% from the developers. Probably most developers would love to deploy this themselves. But again, leave me in the comments what you think. Also, and as an example, with our exact scan, €99, then goes 20% VAT away, usually plus minus a little bit percent. So we are down at €80, which we would get, and then goes 30% away. Then you are nearly at 50 there. You just said normal customers understand how does pricing work. €100 retail price means the developer may get like around 50. And then comes, of course, salary for people, other taxes, electricity, internet, you name it. Phones and all the other fun stuff, and sometimes buying a PC. But there you see the price stuff, and in my opinion it's completely unfair that Apple only causes problems, wastes time and takes 30% for this. And this of course means if we sell, as an example, just to call you some fake number, if we sell software for €100,000, which does not even, depending on what is your salary costs, but just here some. So we need to, if we sell software for €100,000, hypothetically, Apple gets 30,000, maybe plus minus €30,000. Do you find this fair? Imagine how much work you need to put into your software to sell software for €100,000, and then from this €100,000, Apple gets 30,000 or 27 or 25, whatever, VAT level and such. And also with VAT, so imagine you sell software for €100,000 and minus VAT, minus Apple's 30%, you have half, 50,000. And then imagine how many developers you can pay for this and all the surrounding costs. And this is of course ridiculous. Apple makes so crappy products that the people don't want to buy them anymore, and then they see services as, I said this probably in last IT Week's earning call, that they want to grow on services, of course, meaning getting 30% from Hollywood movie sales, news sales and app sales. Thank you very much, Tim Apple, for making yourself richer and all the hardworking developers around the world less so. In similar news to our non-working cable internet, just Vodafone here tells the German politicians, hey, nice politicians, you want working broadband? Wouldn't it be nice if, it would be so nice if you would put for free from the taxpayers' money this empty pipes here, installation pipes into the ground, so that we can cheaper put cables inside. Like, hello, seriously, Vodafone, you know what? If you want that we pay for the internet, you know, then you better get your internet yourself. I mean, they can't overcharge for internet and ask the government to put the cables into the service. This is really ridiculous, in my opinion. Just the usual greedy move of, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you have working internet? Seriously, there's really a limit. And yeah, also it would help, I said, installation cost even subsidized. If we would order fiber here, we would, I think, pay around €1,000 just for this kind of groundwork here, for into the basements of optical fiber. But yeah, also, of course, the taxpayers in previous times paid here for the copper in the earth for the German telecom when it was, before it was privatized in the 90s, before it was, of course, as so often state-run telephone companies. So actually with the privatization, the German telecom there got all the tax-paid copper lines there for DSL and telephone and whatnot. And anyway, beside, I wonder slightly how this was with the coax cable for the TV. Probably I should research this, but this is of course funny. Companies always ask for less regulation and more freedom and such, unlike they want something for free, then they ask for something for free on top of no regulations. This is ridiculous, in my opinion. Can't be greedier than that. Then yeah, Windows. So Windows, Microsoft ships Linux soon, the Linux kernel in WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux, where the name is slightly reversed. Made a news about this, just had this here in the collection of news already. We made a dedicated video where I was surprised because Tuxutku, I think, mentions this in the nightly stream there, and then I said, nah, it's just a subsystem personality shim there, but no, it wasn't. They really changed this. I was wrong. I expected they just improved this, but they actually plan to ship a Linux kernel. You can already get this in some insider build already if you want to take a look. So apparently maybe open source has won there on this front of Linux everywhere. Microsoft recommends using a separate Windows, a separate device for administrative tasks. Probably better Linux, right? But yeah, so much to your viruses and malware and such. So if you need to do serious work, then you better have a non-compromised Windows PC, apparently, allegedly, or something. And yeah, employees with administrative access should be using a separate device dedicated only for administrative operations. Yeah, that is fun. Also probably would boost PC sales then, I guess, but maybe just use a Linux device and run the Windows stuff in virtual machines, I would say, like all the other professionals like ourselves are doing this. What is here with JIT, by the way? Requires a request just-in-time privileges. What just-in-time privileges? Access infinite amount of what? Anyway, yeah, so best security recommendations, I would say Linux anyway, and maybe a Linux device for everything and virtual machines for everything. Speaking about unhackable encryption, encrypted flash drive iDisk is, as it happens, hackable. No shit, Sherlock. Not that we would have expected this from some cheap crap white label somewhere device or something. And you see here some SCSI payload. As per usual, so what is the details here? Kickstarter campaign last year raised more than $21,000, which by the way is probably not too much for hardware production. Anyway, pen test partners, researcher found the device backup password to access the data in the event the device failure or sudden what coding accident could be easily obtained using software tools able to sniff USB traffic. So yeah, just the usual. I in general don't trust device encryption at all. I don't understand why someone would use closed hardware based in built-in encryption stuff. I rather trust my Linux software, full disk encryption, much poor, by the way. Now the frames right here. Why was this slow down here again? Anyway, really don't understand why people always trust hardware encryption. Oh, this is yeah, Linux in 2015, can't make this up. Our TG3 was reset, but apparently we have here some IO MMU. Maybe I should really boot for, but this is also ridiculous. Is nobody really testing this? That we have here TG3 network issues and IO MMU is hardware. Yeah, hardware is difficult and getting too complex. Recurring theme here. I really wish this is also why I make these vintage videos to educate, and also this virt.io. I made a video about virt.io version 1.1 with higher performance and maybe better support for implementing this in hardware. This would be so amazing. Imagine everything being virt.io without a vendor driver needed. Better drivers, more universal drivers. Of course, we have the situation like standards for human interface devices and USB storage. Just virt.io for everything, network, NIC and storage, you name it. That would be amazing. Would be finally solve the driver hell and totally innovate micro operating system support, in my opinion. Anyway, more hackers hack more. Breached 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 US antivirus companies. Researchers reveal source code, network access being sold online. And yeah, no surprise there. In general, I share the opinion of other security researchers that antivirus usually, especially on Windows, increases the attack surface because you just have more bugs, and also all the file access, all the emails, zip, archives, you name it, is all going through super complex spaghetti software of sometimes maybe probably apparently allegedly questionable software quality. And this formats, there were even bugs in RAR, for example. So RAR extra, by the way, super complex archive formats. I think RAR has even filters for special encryption modes for x86 instructions and such. And then no, the Graver irritated me with his chat there. What did I say? Yeah. Breaks this, and this is also no surprise that there are even antivirus constantly. The code, imagine all this zip archives, Java archives, Office documents, everything is extracted and scanned in memory and such. This is probably full and ridden with off by one bugs left and right, only waiting to be exposed, and no wonder that antivirus software often has many bugs and such. And yeah, in general, I would rather not use an insecure operating system like this and run them in virtual machines, and just don't load, in general, not click on everything and load everything and open everything, and just run a more secure OS than Windows with all the DOS and Bill Gates garish invented DOS stuff and stuff, you name it. And yeah, as the recurring theme of antivirus stuff, not making stuff safer, but leave me in the comments below what you think. The Graver says, how long would it take for vendors to make proprietary extensions to virt.io? Yes, actually, I will probably make a dedicated video. I had already a plan because I've written already PCI code. You have seen my PCI, I have a super slim layer of just some bare minimal PCI code, enough to use this 3D FX Voodoo, which probably I have here even still, but not plugged in. Anyway, so I will not only make a video about PCI, but you know, we're really busy here, all the videos, all the code and all the professional work and text papers and you name it. And actually I will make a dedicated video about virt.io probably. I can say already, first of all, I'm surprised. I thought virt.io is simpler. Actually virt.io is slightly more complex than I would like, because Anna Konikova, yeah, you mean the pictures I get every day? I open them every day, double click, save them all over, together with the pill advertisements. Anyway, then virt.io. So virt.io is slightly more complex than I imagined, and it has, to my surprise, some feature level negotiation. So, but not to say already everything that I will make in the dedicated video. I still have to write the low-level code for this as proof of concept and microkernel stuff, demo and stuff. But so this VirtIO stuff, you have this kind of feature level, for example, 2D, 3D acceleration, hardware cursor and whatnot, because certainly QEMU, 5 years ago, QEMU didn't have all of this. So they added like hardware cursor for certainly snappy cursor movements, and 2D and 3D acceleration, this virtual GL. And so those feature bits mark all those features and you negotiate this. So the virtual machine knows what kind of drivers, what kind of features your driver supports. So you just write this feature bits into the negotiating PCIe space, memory mapped IO registers there. So the virtual machine actually even knows what kind of features the driver will use in this feature negotiation thing. Actually not too bad of a thing, however slightly more complex than I imagined. Actually, I thought this virtual was super simple. You just bit bang this with whatever you want, but no, you need to feature negotiate first. So actually probably you could put their proprietary extension in there, but I guess that would be still better than like this proprietary binary only stuff that doesn't work then with some crap drivers. And also you see even TG3, I would rather have a VirtIO NIC. In my opinion, this would be completely amazing. The hardware vendors would save all the work of writing this bloody proprietary drivers like TG3, and even imagine we would have Wi-Fi, VirtIO Wi-Fi and NIC and storage and even audio and such. And theoretically this could work. And you know, hardware people, first of all, if you're into hardware, maybe you want to innovate in this, maybe you want to beat NVIDIA in the future and start a 3D company, because I heard from SGI people that this apparently is amazing. By the way, I recently met someone from another hardware startup. I think he worked at Vivante or something. Maybe I misremember this. Anyway, with one of those hardware startups I spoke recently, some months ago, that was pretty interesting. Yeah, so you see, it's not like there are no hardware startups even for 3D. There was Mali and Vivante and whatever others there are. There were a couple of others. Anyway, yeah, in my opinion, this would be completely amazing. Also, if you're into hardware, you don't imagine if you make a new network card because you think you make the most amazing high performance throughput Ethernet NIC or something there in Taiwan or whatnot. Imagine you don't need to write a driver. Is that not amazing? And it just works on Linux, FreeBSD, and maybe supposedly, apparently, sometime in the future, macOS and stuff. In my opinion, would be like I said in this video, like VGA cards and everything just works, or Sound Blaster back in the day when there were Sound Blaster clones or Gravis ultrasound clones. Anyway, slightly digressing here. So next news, and then we run here over our 1 hour limit because we had so much also amazing news. x86 Linux kernel, I mentioned this in another live stream yesterday or something. It's ridiculous that only in 2019 Linux on x86 gains stack guard pages for the stack to, if this overflows, to crash or at least print a message immediately. Other people already commented what hilarious. Yes, this is running everything spaghetti style in one huge address space, and they're not even realizing when this stack overflows, and of course silent memory corruption, sporadic failures, much later on, you name it, exactly what you want in your monolithic millions lines of code, hundreds of gigabyte, and again drivers, right, 10,000s of drivers or something like that probably. Then in other news, Blackblaze hardware drive stats. For those of you who don't know this is this cloud storage company or something, Blackblaze, and they publish here their hardware model stuff for all of you who have not seen this yet. I always, over the years, took always a look in there. Often a little bit out of our league here. We don't buy so many drives. I sometimes take a look here to get some understanding what vendors are better, which are worse. Trend of quarterly hard drive annualized failure rate by manufacturer. So is this going down, or what do they want to say? Quarterly trends, not previous reports. Useful, bonus trends, something. Anyway, if you want to buy here hard drives, this is probably a good thing to take a look in terms of failure rates and something. And yeah, there were of course in the past quite some failure gates. I remember some IBM drives, even I myself had a couple of them. They were even RM8 and things like this. I think even the failure rate increased when there was a flood in somewhere, Philippines or Thailand or wherever that was. Anyway, if you didn't know this, certainly nice thing, a good thing to know, to sometimes take a look. Really nice report. Then 20 days later, hackers fixed rampant slowdown of Athena's Gradio 3. I always like this kind of hacks. There's also apparently, this is I think a faster clocked CPU on some of these cartridges or something. Here's some video where this shows not slowing down as much. Here, Death Stars exactly. And this, I really like this hardware. First of all, by the way, there you see, if you go to cloud gaming, you will not own this. So if we really have mostly cloud gaming sometime soon, then we will not have this kind of retro vintage look here. Remembering also, in my opinion, some of these games look and play better, have better gameplay than modern, especially what I really called out in other live streams already. I never played this personally, but Mario Run, where you only have one touch jump. I mean, what a bloody game. Stupid nonsense. Basically, each of those SNES, NES games were more outstanding. Even probably Commodore 64, Gianna Sisters or something was more outstanding than Mario Run. And also the other, what was the other game there? Ah yeah, there was this Microsoft Forza or something, Sprint or what this was, where you could only accelerate and not even steer. I mean, we are smartphones and so dumb people that they only have one touch to jump and accelerate. That is ridiculous in my opinion. Then I rather load a good old version of SimCity or X-Wing and play this there on the 386 on the next desk than this stupid games. Anyway, I really like this. I mean, what effort also to hack around on this and reverse engineer this. So I think, as far as I remember, I think by the way from Brazil, Sao Paulo, don't remember the name, from maybe Will is already suddenly with the root work in place. Maybe his name is Vilela or something. And maybe, as far as I read on his tweet, that this SA1 might be a faster clocked version of this main CPU in there or something. But people also say maybe the slowdown was intentional, but maybe I doubt this, because I think I read there a comment that the faster running, more snappy running version is actually harder or something. But anyway, also the Graver agrees, like cloud gaming sounds like a terrible idea. Again, you have seen even our business, even with this business, professional, pseudo-professional something, basically the nearly best internet we could get here, unless we install our own fiber optic cable here, then don't even want to game with this anyway. And then last but not least, here's some Slashdot questionnaire. Is the information asymmetry between producers and consumers good? Someone asks, intended data mining, the producer of a tech product, thanks to internet data mining, may know all sorts of things about the buyer of the product: gender, age, income level, education level, profession, geolocation, what I read online, and so on, social media friends, interests, and so on and so forth, even political swing and whatnot, dollar spend, blah blah blah, and so on. And I've not read here this. Let's see, maybe I should have read this. Person finally asked, how much did the GPU component laptop resell? But if I were asked the producer of the product simple questions like how much did the GPU component of this laptop selling me, for example, GPU like this RX 560, where we got here this Chinese OEM SKU with less shaders and so on, really not nice, this SKU. But this also is why I opened. This is also the same for Apple. You know, Apple wants to know everything about this, although they always say they don't want. Of course, Apple is in the same data collection business, just like Google. If you are also with Apple Pay, why is Apple going into Apple Pay? Because they need more service revenue, because they can't design products anymore. They are so big bugs and shitty that even I don't want them anymore. So they need to steal more money from your transactions, payment transactions, and app sales of independent developers and such. All the shady tricks of sheriff of Apple Tim Cook there, and not that someone thinks that he's a Robin Hood only for himself, obviously. And in my opinion, a non-evil company would support indie developers and not steal their income. But anyway, and also for Google and also others, for example, even pullovers. Can you, with all the Friday for Future and global waste and global pollution and plastic in the ocean, can you ask the producer, hey, how is this pullover produced? Is this produced fair? But do you pay a fair salary to these people? Can I ask Google, do you pay all your developers in India a fair salary and such? And even Apple, we should buy everything. We should give Apple all our money, and we don't even know how do you treat the workers at Foxconn in China? How do you treat the people in your call center in India, in Ireland, and so on? And even up to Antenna Gate, I don't even, but of course also this, what is wrong, even Microsoft, we have here this touch disease Microsoft Surface, which says they don't care, you know, they want to know everything, like each time I boot Windows, it is harassing me to join the bloody OneDrive cloud and such. And yeah, I totally agree, and this is a total disimbalance that I also try to recurringly call out here. This is why we have our weekly news summary of all the IT bits and breadcrumbs that fall through the mattress and in the forest each and every day, what happened meanwhile in the world, and so on. I hope you enjoy this overview and learn something from this. If there is, as usual, we are great friends from comments in the audience. If you have last minute comments or questions, answers, we can share here some more sip of our hydration water kind of stuff. And then call it a day. I hope you learned something. Yeah, bitrate here, not too many drop frames, 3000 drop frames, 2.5%, maybe partially the result of memory management, IO MMU, something here. I really wonder why is this with Linux. This is the latest Linux kernel that I just compiled here, 5.1, compiled earlier today. And yeah, why is this still a thing? IOMMU, DMR, something. Thank you very much. If TG3 is not failing through other means, then it is at least IOMMU faulting here. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have thoughts how to improve the whole experience here, always welcome. You can always leave in the comments what you like to see and not see. Maybe again, not the greatest audience here for the weekly IT news show. Maybe this is a failing experience, but leave me in the comments below what you think. Maybe I should trust here the analytics and only do the videos that are the most successful. And by the way, thumbs up for all the new subscribers. We hit 3K 22, totally amazing. I hope after this live stream not too many people unsubscribed. But nonetheless, I hope you learn a ton here and enjoy hanging out here together on this various IT experiences, from state-of-the-art Thunderbolt experience to weekly news callouts. We have some comments in the audience, and yeah, going over our statistics wherever they were here, probably in watch time, I guess. I could, of course, maybe I should make here some quick look to most watched videos. And based on this, if we make videos based on this, this would mean here our IBM PowerPC video was highly successful. Voodoo, of course. Then here some Linux rambling. X1, of course, laptop stuff always running. Back to the Future, the Linux stuff that I probably shamelessly have promoted on Reddit. Surprisingly well running. VarUP, ultra portable, that we also need to continue with. AMD ThinkPad, obviously, and my father's Real, the Revox B77, which unfortunately I don't have in Berlin. But anyway, if I would probably just play too much with it. Then actually some IT shows, maybe the IT show is not running too bad. Going by this, and of course more ThinkPads, and yeah, Windows subsystem runs surprisingly well for some reason. And yeah, Ryzen, IBM, open source, Vodafone, Cray, PS3, tinkering, you name it. Yeah, probably leave me in the comments below, does this have any value? Should I switch to only go by the YouTube stats and make the most successful content? Or do you prefer hanging around here at night and day for random live streams? I anyway hope you enjoyed it and learned something. And don't forget to code every day and call out random IT bullshit. And I hope to see you soon for all the more random videos and traveling to come.